Hey guys, back here at the bench today. Today we're going to go over reloading 30-30 Winchester. Just the good old-fashioned lever gun that everybody talks about. Just a general all-around good brush gun, deer hunting. First thing we're going to do is I got my ultrasonic cleaner. I put new solvent in there, and usually I let it run for about 10 minutes. Just kind of gets that solvent warmed up. And then I'm going to start dropping these casings in there, so that they lay flat and they're completely submerged and completely full of the wash fluid. You gotta kind of move them around a little bit. All these casings I visually inspected, make sure there was no cracks on the neck, make sure there was no issues with the brass itself. They all looked good. All the primers looked good and square. Didn't look like any primers had any firing issues, so we'll get them all loaded in there. We might be able to make all these fit. Big thing is keeping them nice and submerged. Got one more I think we can fit in there. Might have to put him this way. So then what I do is I close the lid and I come over here to the set button, and I'll come over here to this 10 minutes. I press on and I let them wash. I'll see you guys in 10 minutes. After our wash cycle is up on these 30-30 casings, I'm going to take my block and I'm going to kind of just take the basket out, kind of go all the ways around, try to get as much out as I can. And then I'm going to take and kind of tap them out, make sure they're nice and clean. You can see they polished up a little bit, and I'm going to put them neck down on the tray. Once I get these all out and neck down on the tray, then I'm going to let them sit like that for probably about an hour, and then I'll flip them over and I'll let them sit neck side up for about an hour before I lube them for sizing. I just want to make sure they're 100% dry. You know, sometimes I'll set them in front of the heater if I'm in a little bit more of a hurry, just to get them dried off a little bit faster. But for the most part, usually I let them sit, like I said, an hour neck down and then an hour neck up, and then they're ready to get lubed and sized. So once these get all dried off, I'll bring you guys back, we'll lube them up, and then we'll start sizing them. So after our casings have dried, I went ahead and I spray lubed them. I use the Hornady one shot. Basically, I spray it, let it sit for 2 minutes, and then the casings themselves are all lubed up. If you're using a lubing block or any other method for lubing them, just kind of follow the instructions. But we're going to load that in the press. Full length size them. Primer came out good. And we're going to just go through and we're going to full length size all of these. And I will go through and full length size all these, and I'll bring you guys back on the trim step when I set up the Pro Trim, or the Trim Pro, and go through and trim all these down to the case length that we're looking for. So now it comes time to do the trimming process. I already have this Trim Pro set up. I'll actually try to link the video on how I set this thing up down in the description. It goes through what I do to set these up and kind of what I think helps me set it up faster. We got the 30 caliber guide on the front of it. Our overall length that we're shooting for is 2.028. So we'll grab our casing, we'll put it down on this end, we'll come over here, we'll give her a little trim, put chamfer inside and outside of the neck just to clean it up. Clean out the bottom of the primer pocket. Make sure the side of the primer pocket's all clean. We'll take a measurement. 2.0280. So we're right on the money there. These things go by really fast. you get this thing set up, I mean, you can do a lot of shells in a short amount of time. The one thing that I always make sure I do is I always have it tipped down when I'm running the deburrer and chamfer in the neck. Just make sure none of the shavings fall down in the casings. And we'll just go through and we'll get all these cut to length. We'll get them all deburred and chamfered. All the primer pockets cleaned up. And I'll bring you guys back when we prime these things. So the next thing we gotta do is we gotta prime all these. I have my primers loaded up in my primer. We're just gonna take the casing, pop her on here. It's nice and primed. Make sure it's flush. And we're just gonna work through all these, priming all these quick. That's how simple it is on these. Just, you know, give it a squeeze. Take it, slide it on there, give it a squeeze, verify that the primer went in flush, and grab the next one. So I'm going to get all these primed, and then I'll bring you guys back when we put the powder charge in it, and we'll seat some bullets and finish out some rounds here. While this is dispensing, I figured it would be a good time to talk about the bullet selection. So this is a 30-30 specific bullet. If we'll focus on here. It's a flat point, and as you can see, it's got a cantilever in the middle of it. Traditionally, these guns are tube magazine style, so we need a good crimp on here to make sure we're not going to drive the bullet down into the case. You know, when we put the next round in the tube magazine. These are 150 grain flat point Sierras. The powder I'm going with is a 4064 IMR. The charge that I'm going with on this is a 31 grain charge. You know, and just like any other reloading data or anything like that, always kind of consult the reloading book that you use on as far as, you know, powder selection, lengths, bolt selection, and ultimately make your own data as you go. You know, start off with the minimum load and, you know, load in half grain increments until you get to where you want. For me, I've reloaded these before, 31 grains of 4064. They seem to shoot good out of most of the lever guns that we've run them through. So I mean, that's just kind of where I'm at on this. Close up the bullets here. I'm actually going to cycle my trickle once. Right there, we're at 31 grains. So I'm just going to take this pan off of here. I got the funnel on the casing. We'll make sure all the powder goes in there. I'm going to load all these up with a powder charge, and I'll take you guys over the press and show you how I run them through and how I crimp them. So after we get our powder charge of 31 grains with the 4064, I'm going to take my bullet. I got it set on the bullet seating die. I'm going to guide that up, run it all the way till it cams over. Now for these Sierra bullets, we're looking for like a 2520. We're a 25205, so that's right where we want to be. So once we verify our height, overall length, we're going to come over. This is a Lee factory crimp die. You can, like with the RCBS, you can roll crimp with the die, and that's fine. I'm a big fan of these factory crimp dies. It's kind of what I've used, you know, ever since I started reloading on a lot of rounds. And it just puts just a little, it's kind of hard to tell, but it puts just a little crimp. Full focus. See that ring all the way around it? It puts a little crimp, and it crimps down that cantilever and keeps the bullet from pushing in. when you feed the next one in behind it on the magazine. So let's do one more here. Grab my one more charge. Put that in. We put her back to the bolt seating die. We'll guide that bullet up into there. Go till the ram goes over center. Pull it back, go to our factory crimp die, run it all the way up till it goes over center, and there you go. We have another finished, completely loaded 3030 Winchester, start to finish. So if you guys like these reloading videos, go ahead, subscribe and like. I got a few different calibers I'm going to be doing. I got some 223, some 22-250. I probably will show you guys some 338 Lapua Magnum, 30-06, and maybe some of my PRC rounds I have as far as reloading. And we'll go through making your own data and, you know, kind of different ways to get more accuracy out of your own reloads. So we'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you.